Can I say bullshit?
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit.
I wanted to talk about when you went to that party. You had an instance with a guy who you thought was out of your league. And so you were really thinking about whether or not to approach him. Can you talk us through that?
God, okay.
Being a confident woman who loves herself doesn't mean that you don't have insecurities. So do you have any tips, any other tips or a tool that you can share with someone going through body dysmorphia?
The thing that helped me the most was detach my identity of my body. I don't think we came to earth, like to this place to suffer. And I think we can just live our life and create the reality that we want from fun.
Can you tell us a little bit about the self-worth issues that we're coming across in society? You know, we have these lists, we have these manifestation and partner lists. Sometimes we can treat it like we're going through drive-through McDonald's. So, you know, I'll have a veggie royale, Coke Zero, no ice, fries, and don't forget the barbecue sauce, the ketchup, the curry sauce, and the sweet and sour sauce. It's not McDonald's. It is you looking for someone to share your life with. We really thrive off companionship and connection. Chris Williams on Diary of a CEO, who said like that's one of the biggest illnesses or something that contributes towards illnesses is being lonely, and it's incredibly sad. Hello and welcome back to the Sandi Experience podcast. I'm Sandi, your host, and I'm very excited to share with you this next episode with Sofia, who is a life coach from Chile. She's passionate about teaching people how to be unapologetically yourself. So we spoke about some of the hurdles associated with this, one of which was body dysmorphia and how she also suffered body dysmorphia severely as a child, to the point that she could not even look in the mirror. She overcame this, but now also teaches clients how to overcome this and other self-limiting beliefs. She also has this analogy about oranges and pineapples and how this analogy can help you find the right person to be in a relationship with. I know it sounds crazy, but stay with me. It's a good one. So without further ado, let's welcome Sofia to the Sandi Experience podcast. Sofia, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming to this really cool podcast studio. How are you today?
Hey, thank you so much, Sandi, for having me. I'm really happy, grateful, and honored to be part of your podcast.
Okay, so I'm going to have to start with, it was only a few days ago, just for people to get a gist of your personality. You don't drink, and you love reggaeton. Okay, let's just make that very, very clear. You love to party, you love to dance. There is not a boring moment when you're with us. We could be tired, we could be exhausted, and you will go up and talk to strangers and have fun conversations, guessing where they're from. You are just absolute light, and you lift us up. When I say us, obviously we're a trio, so it's me, you, and Elena. And I love that so much. I feel blessed that I arrived here in Bali. I didn't know anyone, and I met probably the two of the coolest people that I could possibly meet. I've never been to a reggaeton street party in my life, and never did I think that we'd be going to one in Bali. Yeah. And it was incredibly fun. I practiced some of the Spanish that I've learned that you guys have also taught me, so that was good. And I just feel like your energy is so infectious. I didn't want to come. I was totally reluctant. I had made my mind up. I'm not going to come. You know, I'd already had the last weekend off. Needed to do some work. I needed to achieve something before going to the next party. And this comes into self-worth. And this is something that you've spoken about before, and it's something that you work with specifically with clients. So can you tell us a little bit about the self-worth issues that we're coming across in society?
I think with self-worth, we have the belief as society, like we learn that we need to deserve our worth. We need to earn it. So for example, you said like you needed to be productive for you to deserve a good party, to have fun. And I think that's, can I say bullshit?
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit because at the end, like we are enough just because we are ourselves, just because we are here. We don't need to earn through like productivity, through how we look, through our relationships. We don't need to earn our worth. We are worthy. And because we're worthy, we also are deserving. That does not mean that we have to be entitled and be like, oh, we're just like, if there's a difference.
There's humility behind it.
Exactly. But like for me with self-worth, I grew up having really bad self-esteem. And because of that, I was so upset because I was like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live being my worst enemy. I don't think this is the life. Like, I know there is more. And I think with self-worth that I related like to self-love, we think that we need to learn how to love ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I think we were born full of love.
Yeah.
Like if you see a baby, they're happy, they love themselves. But we learn beliefs that make us think that we're not enough. And then we start hating ourselves because we start comparing ourselves. Because at the end, like society, like the world that we live in now makes money when we're insecure.
Oh, yeah.
So because of that, then like we learn to hate ourselves. And I think our journey now is not to learn how to love ourselves, is to like unlearn all of the beliefs that makes us think that we're not enough and come back to ourselves. Because all of the love that we're looking outside, we already have it inside.
Oh my God,
We
that
just-
is powerful.
Yeah, we just need to connect with it.
So you're saying, and I've never thought of it in this way, you're saying that instead of learning to love ourselves, unlearning, detaching ourselves from all the negative things that we feel for ourselves, and all that remains by default is love for yourself.
Yeah, because you already were born
Powerful.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that is really powerful, and I feel like it has become worse over time. And I wanted to touch on the body dysmorphia because obviously we've had magazines for a very, very long time, and we always had like a certain shape and size of women being sold to us as women. But ever since social media, everyone has a phone, so it is worse than ever. And I really worry about young girls, but actually girls and women of all ages. So, what was your journey with body dysmorphia?
So it was hard. I think my whole life I had troubles with my body. I was never skinny enough, but also I was never fat enough to be, I was just mid-size.
How old were you when you first realized that you're not enough?
I feel like maybe 11.
Very young.
Yeah, I was.
Where did that come from?
I
That's
am
very
not
young.
sure. I feel like I think I love my mom. Mom, I love you if you see this. But I feel like because the woman that I saw in my life, they were all talking. And in school, like everyone was talking about how they could be more skinny. They were like judging other people that were not skinny. Like it was all about being skinny. So because I was never skinny enough, I never felt enough until I changed my mindset about the relationship with my body. But that came like way after. So it was many years of feeling like I was never enough and feeling like because I was not skinny or I was not beautiful, because I also related those two, I thought, okay, I don't deserve love and I need to earn it. We go back to the self-worth, like, okay, I need to earn my worth from intelligence. So I put all of my like energy to my personality, and I was like, I need to be have the best personality to be enough. And because I was like, I already gave up with like being skinny. I had so many issues of like, I look back for pictures now and I'm like, I was skinny, but it felt like it was never enough, because I do think that in society, like, it's not about how you look. It's about the belief that it's never going to be enough. So, for example, I had friends that they look in my eyes. I think in my eyes, all of my friends look beautiful, but I had friends that are supermodels, and then they have insecurities. And they fit perfectly the standard. But why do they have insecurities? Because it's not about how we look. It's about the belief that it's never enough. We're in this cycle of like, I don't know, you have straight hair, but you want curly.
Yes.
You are skinny, but then you want curves. You have curves, you want to be skinny. So it's like, if we keep in this cycle, like it's never going to be enough until you understand that it's not about how you look. It's about who you are, and that your worth is not outside. It's in you.
And we always want more. And as technology and certain medical non-invasive procedures have become more and more available, you will see these clinics everywhere, or dentists always offering all these, fillers, Botox, all of these kind of things. I think Botox has more of a medical use as well. I'm not too sure, but it's available at our fingertips to change how we look. So you use your intelligence to help you feel accepted in some ways, help you feel valid and worthy. But when you reach the age when people start to go out, teenager and above, what was your social life like?
My social life was great, to be honest, because I feel like we talked at the start, like I was the life of the party.
Yeah.
So I was just so attached to my personality. I feel like when we talk sometimes that say like people that are born really beautiful, like they don't develop a personality. Because I thought I was ugly, then I developed a personality. Like I was really attached to like being fun. And I feel also part of me just wanted the validation. So
That you were
then,
fun.
yeah, like I just wanted people to like me. I wanted to have a lot of friends. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the most beautiful girl in the room, but I'm going to be the one that everyone likes. So I had a lot of people pleasing like kind of stuff. And to be honest, I had a good group of friends. I was the president of the class. I knew a lot of people. Like I have always been really social. But like then I look back and I'm like, were they really my friends? I don't think so. I just wanted to be known and
Right.
like kind
Popular.
of feel like seen, because I didn't have the validation of myself. So I was just looking at in other people.
So when you became really popular and there's things that you're saying, like you were life of the party and everyone loved you, I already feel that way about you now in the present moment. Everyone loves you. Everyone loves you. I adore you. And you're a life of the party. So have any of those tendencies continued, or has there been a shift and this is the person that you are, but it's different reasons?
So first, I don't want to say that I was like the most popular person ever. I just felt like I had enough validation. Like I
Yeah.
had enough friends and I knew enough people for me to feel like okay. But I think what changed was that then when I went to uni, before I was like, I want people to like me. Then the shift came of like, okay, do I like these people? And now I'm like really selective with my friends. Like,
Ooh, I made it.
yes, yeah, because you're amazing. Like, I
Thank
feel
you.
like the reason why we're friends is because you're also so fun and like so smart, and like we
Thank
get
you.
along really well because I laugh with you all the time and you make my life even more fun. So
I
I
love you.
think I think the thing that changed was that I was not trying to like be liked. Now I was more like, do I like these people? Because then I was so comfortable with myself that I was like, I don't want to just hang out with people because I want to be around people. I want to hang out with people that like I feel inspired, that I have fun with. So I think what changed was that I was not rejecting myself. So now I feel like if I go out and like I am not liked, I don't care, because the rejection of other people, when I don't reject myself, doesn't really matter. So now I'm like, I am not looking to be loved or liked or whatever. It's like, you like me, cool. You don't like me, cool too. Like I don't really care, because now I feel like I truly understand that we are not a piece of gold. We're
Yeah.
not going to be loved by everyone and liked by
Yes.
everyone. And that doesn't matter, because that's not our job here.
Yeah.
Like
You can't please everyone, and you're not supposed to please everyone.
Exactly.
You would be one boring person if you pleased everyone.
It's like what we were talking about, like being authentic.
Yeah.
Like when you're authentic, then you invite other people to be authentic.
Yes.
I think that's why
Yes.
we're friends.
Yes. I love that, because what you just said is, when you are really being your authentic self, your heart is open and you're just being you, being in alignment with who you are, it gives that people around you safety to just let their shield and their guard down and be themselves. And I definitely feel that we are totally ourselves around each other. We have not a lot of boundaries. We laugh about so many things. We have so many jokes. And also, we are quite vulnerable with each other. Whenever we have an insecurity, and this is really important for me to have in my friends, it's not a toxic positivity situation. I cannot operate in that situation where you have to just be like, yeah, I'm fine. That thing happened, I'm fine. No. With you and the friends that I'm so blessed to have in my circle, we have days when we don't feel pretty, when the outfit doesn't look good on us. And it feels so liberating to say, man, I don't feel good. And I don't feel stupid for saying that, because I say it and it's like it dissolves and it goes away. And then that's it. I've let it go. I haven't held it inside and oppressed it and walked around the whole day not feeling good about myself. So I really value that about our friendships. And I hope and pray that women around the world get to have relationships like this. And when I have a daughter, one day, I hope that she has friends like you.
Oh, that's so cute. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. And at the end, like when you're vulnerable, then you can connect with other people like to a deeper level. Because at the end, we can only connect with others at the level that they connect with themselves. So being vulnerable also makes you don't feel so alone. I think one of my biggest things was that I was so insecure. Like I've told you, I would cry when I looked at the mirror because I thought I was so ugly. Like I would wear makeup just because I thought if people see me in the street, like they're going to scream. Like I thought I was a monster.
Oh, that's so
And
sad.
it's so sad to
hurtful.
think that about how, like, because I see, like I look back and I was like, I feel so like so much compassion for her because I was her too. Like I was her, and because of her, now I think she would be so proud or of where I am now. But I feel like all of that time, I never told anyone I was insecure because I just thought, and I don't know from who did I got this idea, but I just thought I was the only person with insecurities in the world.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, so no one can know. So I need to be confident. So even when I was super insecure, no one noticed. So because I was always like the friend that had a story to tell, was like fun. It was like, okay, let's do this. Or was always like studying or improving or doing something.
It's easy to cover it up then,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
so easy to
Through your
cover it up. And I'm a
personality.
really bad liar. Like really bad. But in that thing, I feel like I got really good at it because it felt like protection. It felt like I was surviving. Like no one can know this. And to be honest, I don't even know what would have happened if people would know. But I just felt like I needed to maintain this facade, this mask of like, I'm this confident woman when I was clearly not inside.
So you are now before me a confident woman who does love herself. I've seen how much love and compassion you have for yourself. You don't even wear makeup, and this was something that we were talking about the other day. Obviously, most girls do wear makeup, and sometimes it can be an art, sometimes it can be something to hide behind. I was really surprised to learn that you actually used to be a makeup artist and have videos or makeup tutorials. How did you make the transition from being so alone, having this mask, no one knowing that you were going through so much insecurity? How did you get to be the woman that you are now?
I feel a lot was like, one, I was just so tired of being my like worst enemy. I was like, this is not life.
You had enough.
Yeah, I was like, I cannot live like this. I've always loved studying and be like, okay, I want to like understand how this works and like figure it out. So everything that bothers me, like for example, I also study a lot of procrastination. Like when you are like, oh, let's do it tomorrow. I hate that because I was like, I'm wasting my potential. I think like I grew up knowing that I have a lot of potential. So I was like, I'm not going to let anything stop me. And I realized that being insecure was stopping me a lot because I would not do a lot of things, or more than not do a lot of things, I would feel bad when I was doing it. Or I would just feel like I was not putting my energy in the right places. So I think I went from that to where I am now with like first knowing myself, who am I like really? Solo traveling helped a lot. Like just to see myself in different scenarios and to see like, wow, I'm capable of this. Also putting myself in a lot of situations of like rejection or like just knowing that nothing, like if someone rejects me, nothing would happen.
Yeah.
Like that's what I do a lot. Like, so for people that are listening or watching this, like before when we were talking at the party and Sandi was mentioning, I go to people and just I would talk to anyone. And sometimes people are nice and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're like, and they would give like
Who
a
is
face
this?
of like, why are you talking to me? And I don't care because I think living life like if it's a game and putting fun as one of my goals and purpose and mission of this life really helped me to don't take myself so seriously. And yeah, I think like from knowing myself, kind of going out of my comfort zone and like questioning every belief that I had that made me think that I was not enough. So body dysmorphia, for example, I thought because my stomach is not flat, I cannot wear a crop top. Then what do I do? Because I was like, I don't want to live life just wearing a certain type of clothes because someone told me that I cannot. Who told me that? I don't know. I just
Yourself.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, I am not going to live life like this. So what do? I go to the gym just with a crop top. And first time I still remember the first time I did it. I think there was 2 people in the gym because I think when you're like questioning this stuff and getting out of your comfort zone, you don't have to go like all in. Like you can go step by step. So I remember I went to the gym like a Saturday, 2 people in the gym, but I was so insecure. And I was there with a crop top with my stomach out. And I was like, okay, everything would be okay. And I remember I was projecting a lot of my insecurities because at the end, when we were like, oh, what are people going to think about us? It's just us projecting what we think
What
about
we
us.
think other people think about us.
Exactly. So like I was just there and I remember I remember there were these two people, and I would imagine they're saying all of this stuff. And what I did there, instead of judging myself for like thinking that, I thought, okay, this is like a game. So this is giving me a clue of what I think about myself subconsciously. So I need to work on that. So for example, I thought sometimes I still have the thoughts of like, I'm at the gym and I think people are thinking, oh, she's not lifting enough. Because
Still, you have those thoughts.
sometimes they come, but
Yeah.
now I have the tools.
Right.
And I'm super grateful about coaching and everything that I've studied that helped me to like, okay, the thought would come, but now I don't connect with it. So I don't put myself in like thinking and connecting with the feeling of like, I'm not enough and I'm not lifting enough. That's just not a part of my life anymore.
Yeah.
But they still come. Like I think insecurities still knock my door, but I just don't open the door anymore.
So that's a great point for listeners to understand, that being a confident woman who loves herself doesn't mean that you don't have insecurities. You still have insecurities, but you now are equipped to handle them and to also dismantle them so you don't attach your self-worth to them. So do you have any other tips or a tool that you can share with someone going through body dysmorphia?
I think the thing that helped me the most was detach my identity of my body. Like especially, so I would talk about patriarchy now. So patriarchy, it is this system that tells us that we as women, and I live this really strongly in South America, like in Chile it's really strong, that women are defined by how they look. And then if you look good, great. And men are more about how much money they make. So because we grew up with this and we see it everywhere in the magazines, like how to lose skinny, how like this diet, like what type of woman does this guy like we are treated like an object. I feel like now it's way better and the feminist movement is like stronger and everything is improving.
It's promising.
But since we were like, I was little and I learned all of this, I learned that my self-worth and my body are attached. And then I think what helped with body dysmorphia was understanding that we are more than our body. And an analogy that I use to explain this with my clients and to like kind of internalize this is like, think about someone you love. Who do you love the most, Sandi?
My mom.
So if your mom is not wearing makeup, do you still love her?
Yes.
If she has a pimple, do you still love
Yes.
her? If she would gain 20 kilos?
Yes, always.
Exactly, because we don't love people for how they look.
Yeah.
We love people for who they are. And who they are is way more than how they look. So it's the same for us. Like I do the same exercise with myself. I know if I would gain 20 kilos, then it would be like, okay, I would still love myself. Probably if it was for unhealthy habits, I would still do something about it. But I know if I have a pimple of I don't wear makeup, because at the end, I don't connect the self-worth with my body anymore. And I think that makes me be really like confident about it and kind of just, I don't have those insecurities that loud anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't take care of my body. My body is still like my temple and like I still love it. And at the end, it's the place where I am living this life and that I want to be healthy. But it's not to like look a certain way to be loved. It's more like because this body is the one that I've been traveling for 2.5 years with a 20-kilo backpack because this body could carry it.
It's phenomenal.
Because, this body can hike, this body can work out, this body can dance until 3 a.m. like we did, you know? And so I love it and I appreciate it, but not only because I like it, not only because how they look, just
because of what it does for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like this has been reflected in society in that we do, I don't know what the kind of scales where they're tilted towards, but social media has led to a lot more body dysmorphia. But we also have people more mindful of judging people or connecting to people beyond how they physically look. I don't know if it's an age thing, but I remember I would often be asked in terms of a relationship, what's your type? And I feel like that question is to describe a physical of someone. But since a while now, the question is, what do you look for in a person? And that comes down to the qualities you look for in a person, the personality, the morals, who they are as a person. For me, I really, really love that. And it feels like we are maybe making a change. Again, I don't know where the scales tilt, but it feels promising. I wanted to talk about an example. So it was about a week or two ago when you went to Uluwatu and you went to that party without us the first time. And you had an instance with a guy who you thought was out of your league. And so you were really thinking about whether or not to approach him. Can you talk us through that?
God, okay. Yes,
time.
I can talk about it. So I've been working on my self-confidence and of feeling worthy for like many, many years. But I feel like a part of me, like my inner child, like the inner teenager that felt ugly, there's still space inside. And she would come sometimes and like think that there's something like out of my league that does not really exist. But so we were at this party and there was this guy that looked like Zac Efron. And I love Zac Efron. Who doesn't? And then I was like, we were talking about, oh, where do we think he's from? And then we were with Elena. And then she was like, just go and talk to him and ask. And I was like, okay, I would just go. And to be honest, I was just friendly, like, okay, let's go. I talked with him. And I saw this on a reels that said like a crush is only lack of information. So then like he was just really beautiful. And then we talk. And then at the end, I end up like seeing him again. We danced the whole night, blah,
Love
blah,
that.
blah. We don't need to know more. But the thing that teach me was like, how many times do we think we're not deserving of something? Like we made the decision, the conclusion of like, no, that's out of my league. That's not possible for me. Like, why? Who told you that? Because that was completely not true.
Yeah.
In this case, and in so many cases, like we just make a conclusion already, like, no, like he would not like me. And then we reject ourselves before
To protect ourselves.
Yeah, to protect before the rejection of others.
Yeah.
But at the end, as I said before, like when you don't reject yourself, the rejection of other doesn't matter. And this not only goes with like people, also with like opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, like how many times you didn't apply to that job because you're like, they're not going to take me.
So it's the fear of rejection that holds really strong weight in our lives.
I think rejection and like failure. Because I also had a story like when I was a few years ago, I needed to apply for a master's, and the master that I wanted to get in, it was the hardest one to get in, and you need to do an interview and a lot of stuff. And I remember I was convincing myself, no, you don't want it. It's too expensive. It's too hard, blah, blah, blah. Like I was just convincing myself that I didn't want it just to be comfortable with the idea of not going for it.
Right.
Because I was too afraid, what if I don't get in?
Yeah. So to find comfort in the present situation and not step out of your lane. So I had 2 questions that I would love for you to help answer. And this is from some friends, people on Instagram. I am just going to bring those up. Okay. So this is in alignment to stuff that we've been talking about. So loneliness and finding a partner. I'm 34. That in itself, I think the question is how to deal with loneliness and finding a partner. And actually, I really resonate with this. I'm also now in my 30s, and I have experienced this. And there are many people that have experienced loneliness. I know for myself, and I think for human nature, we really thrive off companionship and connection. And I think it was Chris Williams on Diary of a CEO who said, like, that's one of the biggest illnesses or something that contributes towards illnesses is being lonely. And it's incredibly sad. And you come across it with all kinds of people, whether it's people that haven't found their partner, elderly people. You hear so many stories about an elderly couple when one passes away, the other one passes away soon after from heartache or I guess loneliness. So I have experienced that. And the times that I have experienced that, I've been lucky enough to kind of go inwards and be aware of, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel incomplete? And it came from a place of fear of being alone for the rest of my life, and also a place of lack, of not feeling enough as I am. And then also we have these lists, we have these manifestation and partner lists. And sometimes we can treat it like we're going through drive-through McDonald's. So, I'll have a veggie royale, Coke Zero, no ice, fries, and don't forget the barbecue sauce, the ketchup, the curry sauce, and the sweet and sour sauce. It's not McDonald's. It is you looking for someone to share your life with. And this made me look inwards because I recently met someone really amazing, and we kind of didn't go forward with it. And it was because I needed to do work on myself. And what helped me realize that was I looked at my list, and I'm just going to actually go through the list with you. Whew, doing this.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's open up the notes, the private notes. So these are things, some of the things that I had on my list. And they are emotionally available, knows themselves, knows what they want, done their own work, committed to self-development, great communicator, wants to know each other as full individuals, full humans, not just the version that feels comfortable. So not just the fun, happy part. An honest relationship, true intentions, and inspires me. And I don't know what came over me, but I think it was clarity. And I took a look at this list. And I actually, on the third date, was like, oh, here's my partner list, by the way. I don't know what possessed me to do that. I think I was a bit too direct. And recently, I've just started to look through this list and thought, these are things that I would love to have in myself. And I'm working on those within myself. And it feels satisfying. I don't feel alone. I have my friends around me. But most of all, I feel connected to myself at the best of times. And I feel like I'm, again, developing so much more love for myself. And I think that I would be curious to see what you think. I think that's maybe a healthy way to approach loneliness is I don't think we should say, well, I don't need a man, I'm completely fine, or I don't need a partner, I'm completely fine. I think that can then border on toxic and then just close off your energy to meeting someone. But I think it's important to start to do the work within yourself. And you don't have to be two completely healed people. Many people have so much trauma and so many wounds. But I think there's like a threshold of like starting to do the work. And I'd love to know what you think about the whole loneliness thing and finding the right person.
Yeah, I loved what you did there of like, okay, you see the list and you're like, okay, am I giving this to myself?
Yeah.
And start doing that. Because at the end, here, for me, it's important to know the difference between loneliness and being alone.
Yes.
They're completely different. And it's about connection. So you can be alone. We're solo travelers. So we're alone many times. And then you can be alone means just you're physically in a space with no one else, but you don't necessarily feel lonely when you're alone. You can feel lonely in a room full of people.
Yes.
Like if you don't connect with those people, then you feel alone. So I think it's so important what you said, like the connection with yourself. That for me, it's the cure of loneliness. Because when you're connected with yourself, then it's way harder to feel lonely. And then also at you being connected with yourself, it's easier to connect with others.
Yeah.
And to like open yourself for it. And what you said about like this, I don't need a man and and all of that. I think that the difference here is like the mindset of lack or abundance. I don't think we need. I think it's just sometimes we can want something, but it's completely different when you want to manifest something, when you want to create something in your life, attract someone in your life from a place of like, I need you to complete me, or I just want you in my life.
Yeah.
Because at the end, also you don't want a partner that needs you.
Yeah.
That feels like
Clingy.
I need you, because that's not like, that's kind of codependency.
It's unhealthy codependency.
It's not healthy, exactly. So I feel like your list, I completely agree with your list. And also something important to think, when people tell you you have high standards, you see your list. And then, for example, my list, I would say is like same as yours.
Right.
And I see the list and I think, that's me. I am asking and I want to attract and to my life the same things like I can also give. So it's not that I'm asking for like something when people are like, you have so high standards, because I also am delivering a lot.
Yeah.
So like if I'm going to give you a 10, like if I'm a queen, we always talk about this. I am not a princess. I'm a queen. If I'm a queen, I want a king to my side. So then if I can, like, if I'm into all of this, if we exist, there exists men like that also.
Yeah.
And I think it's important here not to settle with it and just live also life knowing that you are complete, and then you don't, I really think we don't need. We can want, and that's perfectly okay. I think this is like a interesting topic, because then we go through like masculine energy and feminine energy, and like all of this that is trending a lot now of like letting ourselves receive. And I think we can let ourselves receive, but there's a completely different between like let ourselves that someone pays for dinner and be dependent on the money of a man. Like
yes,
we're not like that's 100 years ago.
100%. Yeah. Why
There's a
would we
big
regress
difference.
backwards now? That's a really good distinction to make, that he can provide, but if he wasn't there, anything can happen. What if that person, what if your provider passes away? Then what? What will happen? So I think that's a really good distinction to say, like, yeah, you can, as a woman in your feminine energy and your power, you could feel like you enjoy your man paying for you, but you're not dependent on it. And I really like that, the way you've distinguished that.
Yeah, I think that's really important to acknowledge, because it's not that it's the same as we go. We don't need, we can want, and that's perfect. But like, I can pay my own bills. I can like do my own thing. But if he wants to do it, amazing. I'm not going to say no. I'm going to receive it. But also I don't like, live my life expecting something from him. I think just being a confident woman, I'm also really independent. And I know I can do it by myself. If there's someone like a king by my side, amazing. But if not, it's not the end of the world either.
I'm loving that king energy. And I do love that.
We're just manifesting it.
We're manifesting. But again, I like that we spoke before about, you can see someone has that king energy, and it's about you tapping into yourself and thinking about the qualities you want in that person. Being a king doesn't mean that he has 25 Bugattis or a Ferrari or whatever. Like our list said, like being in an aligned partnership, someone who is emotionally available or working towards or has the capacity for all of those things. I've also learned that they don't have to be fully realized versions of all those qualities that I'm looking for, but working towards it is really, really important. Okay, so we're going to go for another question. Okay, so this is from a male, from a man. Females, and choosing the one for myself while being around different ones. So I think this is about having many choices. How do I choose the right one for myself when I basically have access to many around me, is what I'm getting from that. Okay. And this is common for men because, I mean, we have all these apps as well. And yeah, it is, I think, quite common.
I feel like for both, we have these like so many choices and you're like, what if I make the wrong one? It's like when you go to a restaurant and there's many options in the menu and you get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is my moment to share my analogy that I am so sure I'm going to do a TED Talk about it one day. So
yes,
let's do the orange and pineapple analogy to kind of, you know that analogy.
I
right?
don't.
You don't?
I don't.
I haven't told you?
I'm excited to know. Tell me.
You know it, right? Okay.
What?
Okay, so here goes my analogy of orange and pineapple. There's no explanation what these fruits, just go with it. So I think in romantic relationships, there's two kind of people. Ones that they're just inside of you, you know they're not for you. Like they can be the most kind person ever, but inside of you, you know there's no sparkle, there's just not it. Or the other one that, I don't know, many red flags, but you just don't want to see them. And you're like, but he's so nice.
Yeah.
Or like, I feel so lonely, so it's just nice to be with him, whatever. But then inside of you, your instinct, like in your gut, like in your heart, you know they're not for you. So those I call oranges. And oranges are not bad people, are just not for you. And then I don't believe in the love of your life, but I do believe in the love of like your life in a certain moment. Because at the end we live different lives in this lifetime. Like you have in your high school sweetheart, then when in your 20s maybe you were a different person, and then in your 30s you're another person. You can have a love for those different moments and those people that you connect with. And as you said before, like you don't need to be like completely healed to be in a relationship, but like that you connect with, and then everything feels like you feel it inside of you. So I created this analogy. I hope my friend is seeing this, because this, like, I've been telling this for like a year now, because she was complaining about that she was in between two guys, but they were not treating her as she wanted. And I told her, we were in the kitchen. I don't know where, I think maybe I saw an orange and it came. And I told her, okay, you are expecting the treatment of a pineapple, but you are with oranges. So don't expect pineapple juice from an orange.
Oh, wow.
And for the question that this person asked, I think it's more like, with this analogy, I go through my life and be like, okay, are they an orange or are they not pineapple? It's something that you also need time to figure out. It's not like you're going to be like pineapple, orange, not like that. But it kind of, for me, helps for my awareness of like also recognizing sometimes some people are just, you want to have fun, and that's okay. Now I think I'm in pineapple season, so I'm more like, okay, I'm more picky.
You want to feel right about the
yeah,
person.
I wanted to feel right. Because also then if you want to find your pineapple, but then you keep just drinking orange juice.
Oh, wow. How can you expect
the pineapple would pass and you're not going to see it because you're wasting time with your orange. And it's okay having orange juice. We all sometimes want it once in a while, and that's perfect.
But recognize to not be attached to it and think this orange is a pineapple.
Exactly. So many times I think we make the mistake of, we find an orange, someone that we're like, we know that it's not for us, but we want to make them right for us because we're like, we want someone. So we're like, let's heal this person. Let's make them be what I make them be the list.
Yeah.
But it's not like
not
that.
Right. And it's not fair on that person, because also you delay that person from following their path.
Yeah. You deserve to be loved by someone that loves you. Like for who you are, not for this version that they created on your mind. So I would tell this person that has a lot of options to like, just, I feel like we know the answer inside. Like, when they're an orange. When I created this, I explained it to some of my friends, and they all had boyfriends, and they were like, I think my boyfriend is an orange.
Oh.
They all broke up, and now they're like another one that feels like a pineapple now. And I think like it's just going with curiosity, and like from a place when you're abundant and when you know that you're enough, then you're not connecting like from a lack energy and from like wounds of being like, you're just receiving love from love and not from like fear.
Yeah, coming from a place of wholeness rather than chasing. Chasing is like the craziest thing. You chase, it's Tom and Jerry. He's going to run away. Or whatever it is you're chasing, whether it's your, I don't know, success in business. I feel just chasing it from a desperate energy, then it will run away from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been really great talking to you. And I would love to end this conversation by asking you, what is a mantra that you live by? And the second question will be, what is your favorite book?
So a mantra that I'm living by now, it's like, obviously. So that means that obviously I'm going to succeed. Obviously everything would work out in my favor. Like, obviously we're enough.
Yes.
Like, it's obvious. Like, when you are just like, it's so obvious that life is amazing. It's so obvious. And not this from a toxic positivity. We all like have feelings and everything is welcome, because at the end emotions are to show us something, not to define our lives. But like, it's just, for me now, I feel like I'm such state of peace of like, obviously everything's going to work out, because we have not worked this far to just
give up and settle. Yeah.
And like, you have not worked this far to not succeed and to not live the life that you want. There's a reason why you're doing all of this work. So for me, it's obvious that it's going to work. Maybe it's not going to work today, maybe not tomorrow, but it's going to work out.
I love it.
Because you just have to show up, and like, it's going to work out.
I think I'm going to be using that, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, today's going to be a great day. And obviously, things are going to work out. Things are hard sometimes, but obviously, things are going to work out.
Exactly.
And your favorite book, and maybe a lesson from that book?
My favorite book, it's a recent one. So it's called The Perfectionist Guide to Lose Control. So everyone that believes that they're a perfectionist, that book is amazing. I love, as you said, you follow Andrew Tate for like different perspective. I love looking for books that are giving me something different. I don't want to read the same, like something that is like a bias, like that is confirming like what I already know.
Yeah.
I want something that is like giving me a new perspective. So this book, if you say you're a perfectionist, what people would tell you is like, don't be a perfectionist, just like make a mistake, everything would be okay. But this book is telling you you're a perfectionist. Stop rejecting that part of yourself. Embrace it in a healthy way.
Got you.
And I opened that book in a bookstore in Bangkok like 4 months ago, and the page was saying like, not everyone wants to grow all the time. Not everyone is so ambitious. Not everyone is like trying to improve.
That is true.
So like and that person, the author would call that like more being perfectionist, like wanna be better.
Yeah.
And she was saying like, stop rejecting that and embrace it, and stop. For example, one of the lessons, it was, instead of punishment, you go for compassion. Instead of just like the self-judgment, you go with like a better, like you talk with yourself with love.
So what's something that you would say to yourself if you're, as a perfectionist, experiencing perfectionism and it's a bit of a struggle? What would you say to yourself?
I think when I'm trying that everything is perfect, it would come with compassion to know like, maybe I'm just starting something, and then it's okay. No one was born knowing this. It's kind of like bringing it to like, I'm a human.
Yeah.
And as a human, I'm allowed to make mistakes. But also in this book, it says the definition of perfection is something that cannot be improved, cannot be better. And no one can be better being you than you. So you are already perfect.
Yeah.
Because no one can be more Sandi than you are. So then at the end, we're all perfect. And it's so interesting because then you see perfection as we think like no mistakes. But is it that perfection? Or perfection is just like being yourself?
Being yourself, being perfect at being yourself, which
Yeah.
includes making mistakes.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sofia. It has been such a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to share all your socials and details in this podcast notes. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Sandi. I had a great time, and I hope you stick up for the next episode.
Yes.
And just like that, we're at the end of another podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained even one piece of value and action that you can take on into your life. If you're watching the video podcast, you're probably wondering where I am. I'm in Egypt with Humanité, which is run by my incredible friends Kanwa and Jazz, and they're sending out aid to Gaza. They've been working incredibly hard to work on this project and really get help out to the people that need it. So if you would like to donate or know more about them, please give them a follow, see the work that they do, support them in any way that you can. And thank you for watching. And one last thing, if you could share this podcast with 2 people, I would really appreciate it. People that you think would benefit from the episode, and it would really help to grow the podcast and get it to more people. So if you could subscribe and like as well, I'd be super grateful. Thank you, and see you again at the Sandi Experience.